This weekend sees the third round of the FA Cup. Of course, these games are available on ESPN. Plus, it all starts on Friday. Wrexham against Nottingham Forest. It's an early start for Everton against Sunderland. These games on ESPN too, including, of course, on Saturday as well, Spurs against Aston Villa, Charlton against Chelsea. Now, there's a lot of speculation as who would be in charge of that game. It looks like it will be McFarlane again. We're expecting the announcement of Liam Rosenior today. That hasn't transpired. Of course, this is a man who we've discussed a lot since the sacking of Maresca. He seems the number one candidate to take over at Stamford Bridge. Mario with us, Oggie's still with us as well. Mark, why is this taking so long? Why not today?
Well, good question. Chelsea haven't actually quite described what's going on, but I think it's a case of Rosenior wanting to make sure that he's got his role absolutely nailed down as to what he's going to be expected to do. Obviously, he'll expect a pay rise. I'm pretty sure that it's mostly done. He's not going to turn it down, I don't think. He's not going to be deciding that it's too much of a job for him. But look, they've got Fulham away on Wednesday, and whether it's a case of just getting them through the next game, Fulham away is a tricky game. They could lose that game. You don't want your first game as manager to be a defeat against Fulham, and then have an easier game, I guess, against Charlton in the FA Cup at the weekend. But, you know, I don't think there's any kind of obstacles that's going to stop it happening. It's just a case of timing, isn't it? And timing just to get it over the line and get it done properly before Rosenior comes in. I haven't heard from you on this, Craig. What do you think?
Anybody that's managed Derby is good enough for me. No idea.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, that's... I think if we're honest, I don't think anybody
for 20-odd years now, or really since... Even, you know, when I was at the club, it was Glenn Hoddle. We're talking about big names. It was Ruud Gullit. It was Claudio Ranieri. I mean, missing people out. Then there was Mourinho. Yep. The Abramovich era.
Ancelotti,
was nothing but big name after big name. And they were hired and they were fired. But then the next best was brought in.
Yeah.
This is a complete... And they've tried... And this regime have tried that. You know, it was Tuchel was there, Pochettino was there. They had a off the cuff with Graham Potter. But this is, and then obviously Enzo Maresca was somewhere in between, having had some, you know, a lot of coaching in Italy and coaching at Man City and then managing Leicester. But this is, we're talking about really, in terms of management, young and inexperienced. Although he has some management experience in England and in France, stepping into that Chelsea dressing room, even though there's no real... You know, there's not a lot of experienced big superstars in there. There's a lot of young, headstrong individuals who are on big money. And, you know, that's a very inexperienced voice to come in and start, you know, shoving people around. So it's going to be very interesting. Yeah,
Mario, picking up on that point, as a player, what's it like to have someone who maybe doesn't have the experience that matches the club taking over?
As players are like, they're always going to test. It doesn't matter who you are. You understand? They're going to test how far can they go. If someone stands in front of you, he gets a big test, of course, if the team is stuck. And they, like, let's say you're not winning or you draw and you come in at halftime, you expect your manager to put a change in and really have effect on the game. If that doesn't happen for a couple of games, you're going to have players that are going to open their mouth. They're going to be like, they are going to try to give directions. So you got to be big for that. He's a young manager. You understand? Paul Winsley, you understand, one of the sporting directors, they know each other because of, you know, the background of Brighton and stuff like that. So he comes in as a young boy, he gets his opportunity, and I always say that if it comes my way, I would have taken it, so that is normal. But on the other hand, you also have to understand that this heat is going to be really big for him, because you coming in to take a job of someone that clearly couldn't do what he wanted to do, and now you're coming in the same way. And seeing is like, I don't want to say I know him, but he looks to me like someone that likes to win. And eventually when you win and you get comfortable, you're going to demand certain things that you didn't agree in the beginning. And I think that something similar happened to Maresca. What he agreed in the beginning changed later on because he wanted more influence, more power. And they did not want to give him. And that is what happened. Now Liam is coming. He's going to get similarities. You have to understand that if you, some moments, you got to swallow something. And that might not be the situation you want to be in. So let's see what he's going to do.
You footballers are all kids, basically. Kids at school, when the new teacher comes in, seeing what you can get away with. That's exactly the situation that Mario is describing.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Exactly.
that's the issue when you have a young teacher coming in. You know that, and you've taken advantage of many a young teacher.
All right, Jack. But, you know, he's 41. You know, he's older than Amorim. We talk about that.
A dressing room I'll look to pounce on a weakness.
Yeah.
Because a dressing room, when things go wrong, will look to apportion the blame, and it won't be, unless you don't like somebody in the dressing room, it won't be in that inner circle. So it has to be that weakness that's somewhere else. It's the blame game. And you know, when things are riding high, you very rarely hear about the blame game.
Sure.
But we've heard it at Man United, we've seen it at one or two other clubs, and I think that is the issue for a younger, and let's be honest about it.
So, as a player, what would gain your respect as a manager that doesn't have the experience of others coming into a dressing room, first day, first week? What sort of traits are you looking for to think, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing, he's the right man?
Is he walking in, has he got an air of confidence about him? How is he speaking to the players? Is his training good? Is he sort of trying to kiss the backside of one or two others, as if he's in awe of them? You know, you got to. It was a little bit like when Nagelsmann, who had more experience at a higher level at the time, but was very young, went into the Bayern Munich dressing room. He was younger than Thomas Müller and some of the players. Not an easy scenario to go into, because I'm even sure Nagelsmann, who had managed Hoffenheim and RB Leipzig, walked in there thinking, geez, what the hell do these guys actually think of me? I'm going to have to tell them.
Right.
I'm telling Tommy Müller what he should be doing, where he should be standing, where I want him. And players can sense when a manager is frightened and weak. And players will sometimes look for that. They won't necessarily give it off and you'll see it, but they'll give you the old and you'll see them sort of gauging the situation.
You are being judged by everyone.
You're being judged by the whole dressing room, and when you walk out that dressing room after having talked to all the players, whether you do it individually in the manager's room or whether you walk around the dressing room, when you walk out that door, players will talk.
Right.
And I'm not suggesting anything bad will happen, but my experience, and I don't know about you, Shaq, is if a coach comes in and the training's horrendous and players will just sense it straight away and go out his depth.
Right.
And day one.
So here's the conundrum. You have to be an authority. But you're a young manager, in Liam Rosenior's case, 41 years old. You don't have that much experience behind your name in terms of your CV and what you've done. So you have to be an authority, but then that respect is earned, but you haven't really had the managerial career to be able to step in and have that and earn that respect, well, have it be pre-earned. So, and now you're coming into a dressing room with a bunch of players who are highly paid, very well accomplished, and you don't have a CV to match. That is a really tough ask for any young man in that situation.
And it works both ways, because, you know, to give you an example, when Janssen left Celtic in 97-98, Josef Venglos came in. He was at the other end of the spectrum. Venglos had managed the old Czechoslovakia. He'd managed around Europe. He was supposed to be an innovator, but he was well in, I think, in his late 60s when he came to Celtic. And the training was just so weird, right? Within a couple of days, and this is an experienced coach, the players went, This guy's out his depth.
And I imagine, like anything, once that happens, people turn the page. It's very difficult then to get back on board.
And the only way you get back on board is by winning every week. And as we know, particularly in England, that's difficult to do.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Mario, to get that insight within a dressing room like this.
Yeah, you have to get it right as soon as you come in. And also sometimes, you know, what the guys highlighted, the extra thing also, you got to go after, even the big boys in the team, you got to open your mouth against them. If you don't do that, anybody else in your team is going to watch like, okay, he is worried about saying something to them. So you got to come in and you got to say, like, sometimes you have a meeting when you come in and say to the guys, come on, let's have a chat. And you tell them, look, I'm going to demand a lot from you because you're the most experienced one. And then when it comes in the dressing room, you let them know it too. You say, hey, I told you that before. You are going to be very important for this team, so you got to step up and you got to show us that we can count on you. If he doesn't do that, believe me, because, for example, you have a Reece James, you have an Enzo, those kind of guys, we maybe look at them young, but they're the older ones in the team because they're more experienced, they have seen more. That's why they wear the armband. So when they play, I want them to open them out. When we're in the dressing room, there are moments, you understand, when you're losing the game. Sometimes I just look at a player. Like I give an example. When I come in the dressing room and I see Sola and Desai, I just look at them to give me the answer. Because I'm the young boy, I'm 22 years old. I'm expecting them to come with the secrets. And if they don't do it, yeah, then you look at your coach. And then your coach, yeah, like how Craig said, Ranieri, then comes up with the situation. You understand, even if his English wasn't that good in the beginning, it doesn't matter. Just explain to us what you want us to do. And if it happens, great. So that's what he has to do. His work is going to be in the begin. From the moment he starts, and we're not talking about that, I expect him to play the most beautiful game, but make sure your identity, that's what you have to have in place.